And we are in the sport mode, by the way. Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video, we're gonna be going over a 2021 Kia Soul GT line. But first and foremost, a huge shout out and thank you to Jerry Steiner Kia here in South Salt Lake for giving me some time with this Kia Soul. Check out the inventory link below. Let's get straight into the video. Under the hood of the Soul, we have a naturally aspirated 2-liter 4-cylinder that goes through an IVT automatic transmission. Fuel economy is 28 around town, and then 33 on the highway, with power outputs being 147 horsepower and then 132 pound-feet of torque. Now let's go to the front end of the Soul. This is finished in Inferno Red, which is a pretty cool name for a color. It's kind of a orangish red is the best way to put it. It's definitely red, but it's more on the orange side of the red spectrum. And then you guys can see you've got a little light up there. And then you got the full headlights just down below, and then fog lights here in this little area. Got the GT line badge. Notice it's all kind of like blacked out, and then you've got all the blacked out trim across. And then I like this little piece right here that goes across here and into the headlight. But other than that, there's the front end. Now coming on the side here, we've got two 35mm tires wrapped around 18-inch wheels in the front and over in the rear as well. As for the design on the wheels themselves, I think they look really cool. I love how they have that little red accent there in the center portion of the wheel itself. And then notice the mirrors are two-tone with the black on the bottom and the red on the top. And other than that, here's your full side view of the Soul. Now let's pop into the back of the Soul. So first off, you guys can see you've got some extra storage space in here for the spare tire. And then as for the storage situation, it's actually it's massive back here. Like, it's just super tall from a storage perspective. Not very deep to the second row seats, but I mean, still, it's actually pretty big. And, well, see you. Now going over the rest of the Soul, we've got the signature taillights here, which, I mean, you guys can see they like wrap all the way around. Definitely cool from a design standpoint. Got the Soul badge, you've got the GT line badge right there, and I love how it's blacked out there at the bottom portion. But yeah, other than that, that's the back of the Soul, and also it says Soul right down the side. Now here's the door panel in the rear. You've got soft touch where you're going to rest your arm, and then you've got a little door handle here. I love the trim piece and that little area right there. And then here are the seats in the back of the Soul. So you guys can see you've got like the darker coloration here with the lighter gray there in the center portion. But let's actually pop in. So stepping in, it's pretty easy to get in. In terms of headroom, I'm 5'11". I've got tons of headroom in here actually. Legroom's really good as well. And then other than that, there's no like pull down thing here in the center, and that's the back of the Soul. Now here's the door panel in the front of the Soul. So again, you've got the soft touch right here. You're gonna rest your arm. All of the window controls, that really cool trim right there, again with the unique little door handle. And then here are the seats at the front. So again, you've got the cloth with the lighter gray there in the center portion. Really nice bolstering here on the seats. They are manually adjustable. And then here's the look at the pedals there at the bottom. And then up above, you've got the lane departure here, the blind spot, auto stop, start, stability control. The steering wheel is manually adjustable. And there's one more look before we pop in. And here's the steering wheel with the Soul. So you've got soft touch here all around the whole steering wheel, which just feels and looks really nice. I love kind of like the grips here on the steering wheel as well. It's just like perfect. And then you got your cruise control, your controls for the center stack, your phone control, volume controls, and then voice commands on the other side. Stock there for the lights and turn signal, windshield wiper stock on the other side, and that's all for the steering wheel. Now here's the center gauge cluster. You've got RPMs on the left side. On the right side, you've got the speed, and then you do have a couple different menus you can scroll through there in the center portion, just to give you different bits of vehicle information. You guys can kind of see a couple of the different menus that you can scroll here with the Soul. Nothing too crazy though. Now here's the center infotainment system. First off, if we pop it into reverse, we've got a backup camera with trajectory lines that do turn with the steering wheel. Resolution on the camera is really good. You've got all of your analog buttons on the outside of the screen, which are pretty easy to use. And then as for the screen itself, response time's pretty good. You've got Android Auto and Apple CarPlay with this as well. And I mean, other than that, I mean, I feel like it's a good looking infotainment system. I feel like it's nicely integrated here into the center portion of the dash, and well, that's all. Just down below the infotainment system, we've got the climate controls. This does have a single zone climate. I love the dials here for this climate system. I think they just look really neat. And then you've got your little charging area with some 12 volts, USB, all that kind of stuff. Here is the transmission selector for that IVT, and it does have your manual shift mode. And then you do have the drive modes, which pop up right here. You've got your sport and your normal, so you can just shift between those two drive modes right there. Got a couple cup holders right here, and then you guys can see a little parking brake right next to it. We've got the center console, which is decent on the storage space. Then popping over here to the glove box, again, also decent. And then they actually did soft touch all over like the whole dash area pretty much. And I think that's pretty cool how they integrated like the speaker there next to the vent. I think that's It just looks different. Now up top here, we actually do get a sunroof here in the Soul, and then you've got a little sunglass holder, and got the mirror dimmer. And like I said, I mean, I said this in the back, headroom's like just crazy in this car. Like, because it's got the boxy design, you've got tons of headroom even up at the front. Now that we're done going with the interior on the Soul, let's quickly get into the pricing. So in terms of pricing, you don't have to sell your Soul for the Soul because it's only $22,000, like pretty inexpensive. That all being said, let's take her out and see how she drives. Let's talk about visibility before we set off here in the Soul. So first off, visibility of the hood, it's pretty good. It has like this cool like flat type design there on the hood as you guys saw from the walk around, and it just like abruptly ends, so it's easy to see out of. Visibility through both the mirrors is pretty good, and they do have blind spot monitoring. And then here's throughout the rest of the rear, there's a little blind spot right there in that little area, but I mean other than that, it's a bunch of pretty large windows, and let's set off. Well, as you can see, we are setting off in the Soul, and don't worry, this will not be a soul crushing review. Okay, I'm done. I'm done making the Soul jokes, but let's actually talk about the road noise and ride quality. So from a ride quality perspective, I mean, it actually rides pretty smooth. This is a weird car. I think it's technically like a hatchback, even though it's a little bit higher off the ground and it kind of looks like an SUV, but it's not actually an SUV. The Soul's weird, okay? The Hamster Mobile is a weird vehicle, but I still love it. In terms of the road noise that comes through, again, I put it at average. I mean, if I'm comparing this to hatchbacks, this thing's like a luxury car compared to a regular hatchback. It's super nice. Definitely that extra ground clearance that this kind of like has definitely makes it feel a little bit just better overall. I feel like I can just, especially on these Utah roads, they're kind of all over the place. I feel like I can just drive it a little bit more comfortably. And then in terms of the steering on, it's actually pretty direct. That's where this does feel more like a hatchback than an SUV. It definitely has like more of a direct steering rack than what you typically get with most SUVs. Now we're gonna let that person go so that we can get our full-blown acceleration. And we are in the sport mode, by the way. I probably didn't press the gas pedal down enough, so I'm gonna pop it over into the manual mode and kind of go down a couple. This is kind of weird. So I just drove a Forte before this, and the Forte, it seemed like it shifted substantially quicker, especially in the manual mode, compared to what this Soul is doing. Like I'll downshift a couple times again. Yeah, the Forte just seemed more responsive than the Soul. It's not bad. I think the Soul's better in automatic mode. But yeah, I mean, I'm assuming they use the same transmission with both of them, and it seems like this is just not as responsive, which is interesting because it's got the same engine too. Weird world we live in. But as you know, a whole piece of the acceleration is right where it needs to be. It's got similar power outputs to other hatchback type vehicles in this segment, and that'll get me into some things up here with the Soul. So first off, I love how this thing looks. It is so cool. Like, I know that, you know, there's a little bit of stigma against it because it's kind of like this weird car, but that's why I love it. It looks so cool. Like, it's just like, it's like the ultimate hipster mobile, and that's why it's the Hamster Mobile. So exterior styling, it's not necessarily beautiful, but it looks really cool. Like, this is one of those cars that like still turns heads even though it's a $20,000 car because of the crazy styling. The interior, it's really well put together. Everything makes sense, really easy to use. They still do some cool stuff on the inside, like the vent speaker situation's definitely weird looking, but I like it. Like, there's a lot of weird stuff about this, but then it makes me like it more because of how weird it is. And then from a performance standpoint, I mean, it's right where it needs to be. So like, no complaints there, and you can get a turbocharged version as well. It's even faster than this. So like, if this isn't enough power, then just get the 1.6 liter turbo version. So overall, as a package, $22,000, having all the safety tech, having unique styling, and having the power outputs this has and everything, I think it's a really good value. I think this would be a great daily driver, and it's just so practical. Like, you have so much headspace because of the boxy design. You've got extra cargo space because of the boxy design. Like, this is it's actually an underrated vehicle in my opinion. I think a lot of people just like, they think of a Soul and they go, oh, I don't want that. That thing's too hipster for me. Or that thing's too childish for me. Whatever people think about this. I think they're looking at it wrong. I think this is a really practical, very inexpensive vehicle that's got tons of cool safety tech, and it's unique. I think it's great. So yeah, thumbs up for me for the Soul. Now that is going to sum things up for our video on this 2021 Kia Soul GT line. And again, a huge shout out and thank you to the Jerry Steiner Kia here in South Salt Lake for giving me some time with the Soul. Check out their inventory in the link below. I'll see all of you in the next video.